what's up to our one watcher? Hey,
hello, Miss Kirkpatrick, if you're out there, our only fan, not only fans, but only fan.
Right on.
Tony and Tony, we lost the seats. We no longer have a seat at the table. We have to stand at the table, trying to bring some faster information, some faster news. We got a celebrity out of Chicago now.
Yeah, dude, the Pope. Yeah.
Portillo's already making new sandwiches. The Leo.
Yeah, Aurelio's too. What's his name? Aurelio.
Joe
Jr. came out with a thing yesterday. Their pepperoni pizza, because that apparently is the Pope's favorite pizza. And he loves to go to the Homewood Aurelio's, which is their main one. They have, at least in the short term, named it a Poperoni. If you get a pepperoni pizza. And they have a table now that is the Pope's table. And they have this very ornate looking Pope seat that you can sit in at that table.
All right. So Homewood Aurelio's, is that the original? It's gotta be.
You know what? I think it is. I can tell you this. Our office sold them that building years ago. That was a Buick dealership, actually. So
I can't believe it's a Buick.
Yeah, exactly. So if you ever go in the Homewood Aurelio's, the area where it opens up and you have all of that big framing and whatnot, apparently that was the one of the workshops or something.
All right. What are they? I think they always say something about getting the getting the back oven or the old oven. The Aurelio's pizza, I enjoy it extra crispy. I don't know if you can get it if other people like it extra crispy.
You can. And here's a hack, actually. This is a regional hack.
All right, let's hear it.
So the old oven, there is an Aurelio's on Route 30. I don't know if that's Cherville or Dyer. I think that's actually Dyer. All right. It's on the north side of the street. It's a little one. That was one of the first franchises sold. And all they have, all of their ovens are the old oven. They have not upgraded pizza places. I was just talking to this last night with Rob from the station. Pizza ovens today are a conveyor system. All right. And even the Aurelio's in Homewood uses a conveyor system. Most of their franchises uses a conveyor system. You're not able to do that extra well done thing unless you have an oven to throw it in, right? So there are still a few, Cherville or Dyer, whatever, on Route 30 is one of them, where all of their ovens are the original ovens that they bought through Aurelio's when they opened up their franchise 50 years ago. So there you go.
Interesting. So they're on conveyors. So I would have probably made my life a little bit easier when I was working at a pizza place. You're always just trying to put some cornmeal on there, sticking the stick back there, trying to catch that one over that one.
I would have loved to see that.
Popping the bubble. Yeah, I'm a little shorter too, so I had to get a little step stool out there. But shout out to Frankie's and Monique for that life experience there. Frank taught me a lot. Never drop a pizza because you have to buy it. Right. Businesses aren't ran like that anymore. But let's talk. So we got Pope Leo, a Chicagoan, not only a Chicagoan, a Southsider. We have there are all of these rumors about this house and where his childhood home. It was in Dolton. You're obviously familiar with South Holland, Dolton, Homewood.
You're right next door.
You're a stone's throw from the potential original Aurelio's former Buick dealership there too.
Absolutely.
There was, I think, a mistake at one point about where his childhood home was. Leave it to me. I went through public records and then checked out some deeds and found it here. So we do have 212 East 141st Place.
Wow.
Dolton, Illinois. 750 square foot house.
Yeah.
Tiny little guy, right? So that is the Pope's house. Let's talk about a couple of things about it. Talk about how to qualify. Can you qualify to buy it? How much money out of pocket? And then we're going to talk a little bit about it was listed for sale and now it's off the market, probably because it has an unbelievable new value to it. But we've talked a few different times now about the southern municipalities of Cook County and their real estate taxes jumping and the reassessments here. So this house, current tax bill on it was $7,234 a year.
Right. Which is absolutely asinine because in the condition that now this house has been rehabbed, but the condition that they bought it in to rehab it, this place was probably worth 50 grand.
It was bought for 66,000.
See, I was close.
Yeah.
All right, 66.
So this
Buy
is
a car for more money.
But you can see like this jumped. So there, these taxes were 4,500, 4,600 a year, and all of a sudden they pop up to 7,200. And you could see on here, and this is again, this website here that I had pulled up, cookcountypropertyinfo.com. You can type in your property address in here. You can get a cross section of assessed values, tax bills, all of the fun stuff there. It's easily accessible. And then you can find out if there's exemptions on the property that maybe artificially kept the taxes lower, like a senior exemption, senior freeze. But so $7,200. All right.
That was with no exemptions.
That's no exemptions. Okay. We have not had any exemptions on this house. So eventually you buy it owner occupied, which we're going to talk about. Maybe those taxes come down. The bold print here, you guys can all read through this really fast because we're going to talk about mortgage terms. We have to have 900 disclosures. Thank you, CFPB, for all of this stuff. So these are all simulations. This is not a credit offer, an extension of credit. You do have to qualify for a mortgage, but
and anything that I say is a simulation.
Yes, this is all for entertainment purposes only. So what we did is this house was actually listed, and we'll go through the listing history because I got quite a couple questions for you at the end about that. Most recent list price was $199,900. We're going to talk about if you're going to put do 20% down payment on this conventional loan, and we went to Rocket Mortgage maybe to get a rate quote and figure this all out. So with taxes, insurance, and everything at a 7.125%, 30-year fixed mortgage, you are looking at $1,830 a month on this house.
Jesus.
Yeah, on a $200,000 house. And again, a lot of that is the tax bill. It's $7,200.
No, we're qualifying off that tax bill, right? We're not. Okay.
So we have no choice but to qualify off of that tax bill because, again, taxes in Illinois in arrears. Then you have to file for your homestead exemption.
Even though we know they're going down, everybody knows that they're going to go down. We have to qualify.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the opposite. So what if there was a senior freeze on this house, and then you're buying it and you're under what's the senior freeze, like 68 or 7? Like I don't even know what it is now in Cook County, middle 60s. We as a mortgage company, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, all of the agencies have a requirement that says that we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we're qualifying you off a proper assumption of fully assessed taxes.
Okay.
So if these, what if these taxes were $500
so
a year?
You go back in and put the taxes in and then qualify based off of that. And it doesn't matter what they actually are. It's going to be, this is what they could be without any exemptions.
Yep. That's, we do, it's a lot of monkey business type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But tax in Illinois, the tax calculations are pretty easy. Like there are a lot of steps, but it's super easy to follow. It's all public record, plug and chug on there. Indiana, the approach typically there is just 1% of the cash value of the house. Cook County does a little bit of funny stuff here, but $1,830 a year or a month with 20% down. How do we qualify someone to buy this house? All right. So we look at the $1,830 monthly housing expense, and then I went on Lending Tree and pulled up some data about average American consumer debt load. Average car payment right now, or Q3 of last year, $719.
Jesus.
Personal loan payments, $475. Student loan payments, $277. Credit card payments, $273. So monthly debt load about $3,574 with a house in there.
Okay.
The widely accepted debt to income ratio tolerance in the mortgage world is 43%. There's lots of things that can drive that up, down, left, right, center. But if you actually go back and look at all the government regulation with Dodd-Frank, 43% is considered the ability to repay rate.
Okay.
We divide our monthly number out by that 43. It tells us we need $8,300 a month to qualify.
So $100,000 a year is like the minimum that you need to make to live in a 750 square foot house in Dolton.
Yes, because in this case, right, we have pretty high taxes. We have $600 in taxes a month, right?
This is with how much down?
20%.
Oh my God.
And we're going to talk about that next. But again, no, not everyone's going to have a $720 car payment for, $475 in personal loans. Student loans, obviously becoming a major issue from a credit standpoint, mortgage standpoint, all of that right now. But again, these are numbers that I pulled from Lending Tree. Like These aren't just like, oh, Tony just kind of whipped one up and said, oh, everyone's mortgage pay or everyone's car payment $719. These are from a Lending Tree report. So yes, you would need $100,000 in taxable qualifying mortgage income.
Okay.
to qualify. So let's talk about how much cash, right? So 200, 199.9, 20% down is 39,980. Now, if we use Rocket's origination fee and then this trick, right? Discount points that are always like a mystical number, and people are always confused about why my interest rate might be lower or how it's advertised lower online. In this case, it's an extra $2,998 due at closing. Appraisal fee, $500. Credit verification is $300. Homeowners insurance, we'll call it $1,800 for the year. Attorney fee, $600. And then again, if you're transacting in Chicago Metro, we've talked about this before, buyer side title fees, title insurance.
Yeah.
About $4,000.
Yeah.
On a $200,000 house.
Okay.
This is going to put you at needing about $52,000 all in cash into the deal, excluding a home inspection and waiving escrow. So you're not setting up an escrow account for your taxes and insurance. Now you'll get a prorated tax credit. We talked about taxes being paid in arrears. So you end up about $46,000.
Are we intentionally trying to scare everyone from buying a house?
No, not at all. What we're trying to do here is, and so like ways that they, this is what happens though, when you click that online lender and they don't explain to you discount points and hey, we want this super low rate. Right. Well, here you go. This super low rate is actually costing you $3,000 more at closing.
Yeah, you generally don't want to kill yourself to try to get the best rate possible. No. People don't understand.
Yeah, a 0.25% is going to be $35 a month in this scenario. So I would not burn $3,000 in cash.
And you can just lie to your friends at the bar or at the club or whatever. Just tell them you got an interest rate you didn't get. Okay? That seems to be what people like to do. They like to brag about their interest rate.
Honestly, I have never been to anyone's house that actually their mortgage rates on their refrigerator, like it's their kid's report card.
Right,
but
exactly.
I can help you with that. We can figure out a way to like draw some lines.
Just make it up.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this isn't necessarily meant to be an alarmist situation here, but I want people to understand that when you transact in the Chicago metro area, one of the biggest costs is that buyer side title insurance.
Sure.
And then if Dolton doesn't have a buyer's transfer tax, but some areas around there do, that could increase cash to close too, and you don't always have to put 20% down. So that's kind of what it would take to buy the Pope's house at the last list price.
Wow.
But we want to talk about this though, Tony, because this is something that you have talked about frequently on here. You talk about frequently on social media, listing your house at the right price.
Yeah.
So this house, Pope's childhood home, prior to him being the Pope, was listed at $219 in January.
Mm-hmm.
Slid down to $199.9 when the seller fell into the luckiest thing that they probably ever fell into in their life.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't necessarily, I don't think we want to sit there and say that
that's a windfall. That is certainly a windfall of finding out that your house is the Pope's. However, what you see there in terms of listing history, as a matter of fact, I'm dealing with a client right now, and I actually don't mind talking about it. I don't think he would mind me talking about it. People see, so a town like Dolton is not known to be necessarily affluent by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, the converse could likely be more true. A lot of dilapidated houses, maybe some higher crime rates and things like that. From an investor, especially an ignorant investor's standpoint, these things can look appealing because you can buy houses for $50,000, $60,000. All right. So, boy, that's cheap. All right. Well, it's cheap for a reason. And, they'll take, if your mind is not right, or maybe you just have experience in nicer areas, you can think, well, this house is going to be beautiful when I'm done. $220,000 isn't that much money. Well, it depends. If it's in this place that I'm doing right now in Roseland, I mean, the guy bought it for $50,000. The house next door has a $0 taxes on it because it's been deemed worth nothing. All right. And this one's got a $600 tax bill on it. All right. And they shot for this figure. The figure that they used was a calculation of their acquisition costs plus their rehab costs plus a certain margin that they wanted to hit as an investor. And that is not how it works. The market does not care about what type of margin you want to make. Just like with your own house, the market doesn't care what, one of the things we hear all the time is I have a figure in my head. Well, throw it out. When you call your stockbroker and you need to sell some shares of that Pepsi stock you own, and he tells you that it's trading at $50 a share, you don't tell your guy, well, I've got a figure in my head of 60. right? It's at 50. That's what the market's trading at. So what we'll see is it's not market specific. All right. Years ago, before the internet, days on market would be relative to what's going on with the market, but they're not anymore since people have the internet. You can pull out your phone, see what's for sale since the last 15 years. All right. So has been looking for a house, who's out there already, who sees it. If all of these people who are actively looking see the house and take a pass on it in the first week, you have a problem. All right. People are going to start to say what's wrong with it. And there's only one thing that is wrong: price. All right. Then what happens is when we elongate this thing, eventually you have somebody who's interested in buying it. They know that they're not bidding against anyone else. Why wouldn't they put you over a barrel? Maybe they get you your price that you want, all right? But now that we've got you locked up under contract, we can whittle away at you for two reasons. We know that there's nobody else lined up behind us. The other thing is, what are you going to do, Mr. Seller? Put it back on the market and tell everybody that you just had a failed transaction because you refused to work with me? Now you're going to look even worse than what you looked when I came to buy your place. All right. So we've lost price and seller control, which nobody thinks about, which is ultimately important because the only person subject to these contracts is the seller.
All right. And then you, in this case too, you're going to have carrying, like you're elongating carrying costs at taxes at $600 a month alone on this specific property. But I think I saw a post by one of your teammates, Tyler, yesterday about maybe the days of aspirational pricing are gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see some get lucky, but very, very few. The statistics work against you. Though, if you overprice, there's such a high probability of you getting less than what you would have gotten anyways and losing your seller control. They are asinine to do it, to the point where if I meet with you and I present the data to you and the data says you're here, this is not me saying you're here. My stuff is the data. The data says that you're here and you're here. I'm not going to take that listing because we're going to have a hard time. You and I are going to be in disagreement. Even if you agree, okay, yeah, you're right, but let's just try it, is one that sellers say, can't we just try it? Well, you have all of this evidence says that trying it doesn't work. Try to sell your $50 Pepsi stock for 60. Let me know how it goes. All right. But even if you acquiesce to them and you say, okay, we'll do it, but just know that it's not on me. Eventually, 3 weeks later, when it's not working, you're mad at me. All right. Because there's something about activating that listing and them seeing it live for this price that it's not worth, them thinking, well, maybe it's worth that. And then they get their hopes up. And then, okay, now we got to come to reality. Now I'm the bad guy. And we're going to have a deal where you don't have control. You're going to have to accept something we don't want to now. All right. So I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. It triggers for us. It triggers poor reviews. You're not getting any referral business. We're never doing business again. I don't want to do business with you. You don't want to do business with me. Loss of hair. It's just a bad situation.
Yeah, I got plenty of that going on. So as we talk about, properly priced, and we've talked about it a bunch, we're kind of coming into the heat of summer market here. We're starting to see more houses kind of pop up, some other houses sitting a little bit. What would you tell a buyer or a seller in the next 3 months? What are you looking at as an agent?
Well, right now, spring market's over. All right. You're into summer market. And what you're seeing now, and of course we can still sell property, all year long. I do it, whatever. But you're seeing the late to the game, the people who were going to go on in the spring, which is real spring is a poor time anyways. All right. If you're going to do it, you want to be very, very early on. So you're seeing the people that were going to come on in the spring that got delayed somehow, or just think that now is the time, putting their house on the market. So we're seeing a large influx. However, we've seen a ramp up of buyer activity already. A lot of the really great buyers are already under contract on something. All right. So right now is actually going to be a great time to buy, because if you're going to see stuff that's sitting on the market where maybe you can hammer the seller or get the terms that you want, it's going to be now through pretty much August. All right. And then September, we're going to have a run again where it's going to work for sellers. It's going to really improve for the sellers through about November or so. All right. And that's kind of what the cycle that we see is.
So hot buyer summer. You want to buy now?
It is. And you know what? So I'll tell you this. So the people who waited, right, we're seeing a lot of buyers who are on the fence. They've realized that rates are what they are. They're not going anywhere. Property is expensive. That's probably not going to change either. We've had this super, super low inventory environment for a number of years now. It's come back a little bit. So it's going to be the next 2-3 months are going to be the best times to buy that we've had in probably years. I'm not saying best historically, but I'm saying if you need a house or want a house, you're going to be looking at the best time to buy.
All right. People want to buy or sell. They get you. They can Google your name. They can spell you
can
wrong.
Google me, 708-259-3734, or Google Tony Mitidiero. We have offices in Orland and Crown Point. And actually, we can also help get the money out of the house that you're in now to buy your next one without you being contingent on that sale.
Oh, yeah. We're teaching a master class about that later this afternoon.
Yes. So this is huge. Get in touch with us. If you want to make a move and you're stuck, and you're feeling like, well, I need this money, but I'd have to sell my place to get the money, then I have to live somewhere in the interim. Not necessarily so. We may be able to help you with that.
Cool. They were running that at maybe noon or 1 o'clock. So if you follow our social medias, you'll see that. Otherwise, you get me at 630-284-9729. Rates are what rates are. We got all kinds of good golf coming up this weekend. Everything else sporting world's kind of popping up. I know your two-wheel world, it's getting going too. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Awesome. Have a great week.
I'm done. Cut the show.